Magic. Actual magic. We've found ways to turn chemicals into electricity, and then control that electricity through millions of wires. So a man on the other side of the world can tell you that the answer is skulls. The answer is skulls, but it's more complex than that. So a lot of you probably think you know the answer. You see, when you use the fill command on skulls, the item comes out, and so you can use the MBT of that item to set a block. But the problem with that method is that it interferes with actual skulls. I didn't want to do that, so what do you think I did? Well, I just check for every single block around me using a test4 command, and it comes out to about 1,500 commands. Yes, I am not joking, it comes out to 1,500 commands. Here are all the ones just for the block breaker. I have about 40 blocks, so 20,000 commands to make the whole system work. Thank goodness they only run in one tick and they're not always active, so it doesn't cause much lag. Another key advantage of skulls is that they are directional. Obviously you can detect which way they are facing using the skull rotation tag, so you can see I've incorporated this into the block breaker. As you can see, it behaves just like a custom skull. Now this method does have a few downsides, the first one being that you can't actually place anything on the ceiling here, and so that's become a problem, so you have to go in like that, which is a bit unfortunate. The other issue that I'm having is that the skull rotation tag is 0 every time it's on a wall. There's really no way to detect if it's on a wall, so no matter what, it's going to be facing this direction if I place it on a wall. And there's one more quirk I'd like to point out about skulls, which you may or may not like. You can wear them. So can armor stands, so you can show off that beautiful 8x8 texture. Version 0.8 is the next update of TTB. This update won't have many new features, I'm saving all those for version 0.9. However, the major features of 0.8 will include drastic changes to the machines. Yet again, but at least they're getting better every time. You see, I've made some of the major machines, such as the quarries, one by one now. And also, you can't power them with redstone anymore. So how do you power them? Well, it works like this. You place down a conductor, this is not the texture by the way, and you can use purple stained glass as a wire. So if I were to power this, since this Tempite container is full, you can see it changes the color of the wire. So it alternates between magenta and purple. And as you might expect, anything that collides with this change will be activated. Now, using the conductor costs 5 Tempite alone, like that. But if you have a machine attached to it as well, then it will also deplete. Now combine all this with the ability to make blocks directional, you can create some pretty cool machines. How come that didn't collect? I think I had the wrong color wire on the end. There we go. That's more like it. And since it takes time for the Tempite to pass through the wire, you can extend the wires to create delays. Awesome. Now the system is fairly solid, so you can't create infinite loops with this. But it is possible to short circuit your design if you have too much going on at once. This will happen even for simple circuits. But if you keep your designs nice and elegant, then this shouldn't be a problem. And finally, since I'm using skulls and not thrown items, TTB is slightly less laggy. It's kind of hard to demonstrate. And of course, you can make a hybrid of redstone and Tempite power. See, this goes in one direction, like so. However, if I pull this lever, then I can make it go in both directions. In the future, I intend on making some of these blocks movable with observers from the bottom, the top, and from the side, which previously was difficult to do due to the 2x1 nature of the machines, but that's fixed now. You'll also notice that there are some storage containers and slots inside the machines. This is where you're going to be able to put your modifiers. So some modifiers will make it more cheap, some modifiers will make it so it moves across the observers faster, and obviously the more modifiers you have, the stronger they are, but there's only 9 slots for these. Unfortunately, this is not possible. Although it seems practical, where you have accurate right-click detection to do things, and there are multiple textures here, the reality is there's actually only one damage value for the custom spawn eggs. These are actually used using some other assets in the game. So unfortunately, that's not viable. But even if there was damage values or some kind of predicate that I could use to change the models of the individual spawn eggs, then I'm afraid I'm using these for my harvest stuff anyway, so they're irreplaceable. Structure voids are pretty good because I can actually retexture those without having to worry about replacing survival items, and also you can have some pretty accurate right click detection, and then I can just run a fill command which gets rid of these. But the problem is there's only one structure void in the game, and I could use barriers as well, but that only brings the count to 2. I could use bedrock, you'd be pushing it a little bit, but that only brings the count to 3. I have more blocks, I need to expand more. Although admittedly, I do like how the structure voids stay around when you place them down. Perhaps I could use this for something in the future.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Alright, listen. I know I've made C++ generators which generates thousands of commands in the past, so you'd think if I used that I'd be able to create something really accurate. For example, I have one here which actually generates 360 commands for each degree of rotation and has a raycast function for that. And then I can use recursion to make this instantaneous. Sounds pretty good, right? I can use this for the x-axis and the y-axis, so you'd think with those hundreds and hundreds of values it would be pretty accurate, right? It's not. Now this episode has been mostly good news. It seems that I've finally found a custom blocks technique which actually works pretty decently in the Tempests box. But that's where you're wrong. It's almost perfect, it's almost great, except I can't do this using this custom blocks method. You see, these aren't armor stands, these are the monster eggs that I talked about last episode. However, these are armor stands. If I were to have this many block transformers over here, then we will have massive frame rate issues. Now you could say, oh, why don't you use area effect clouds and spawners? Well, actually, let's not get into that. There's a lot of problems that go with that I don't want to go into, but it would reduce lag quite a bit, but not enough, not nearly to this level of awesomeness. So, there's 6 monster egg variants that we can use. So I want to ask you guys, if you could only add 6 more building blocks that can't be functional, only 6 more blocks, what would they be? And why? And where would you put them? Let me know in the comments, and I'll choose the best 6 to be these monster egg variants, so we can have a truly diverse set of new blocks in TTB which don't cause lag. Anyway, let's move on to something different now. So recently, Silda's shaders has stuffed up, so I am going to change the shader pack to a Chocopip 13 version 6 medium.zip. That's better. Anyway, recently I made a boss fight for Tyler, and that was Herobrine. Now the way he defeated Herobrine was not the way I anticipated, and this is a big deal for me because I intend on adding a similar fight to the Tempests box, not Herobrine but something else. So it's important for me to deconstruct the fight, realize the intended method of defeating Herobrine, and versus the way that Tyler went about in his video, because I think the way he went about it was less fun, and I want to push the player towards an intended experience. So let's take a look. So we can skip all of this nonsense and just go right to the meat of the fight. You put mysterious dust inside a cauldron. This is not how it's going to work in the Tempests box. I just needed something that would work quickly. Oh dear, that's loud. So the way you're supposed to defeat Herobrine is by destroying all these nodes around the area. Each one, as you can see, comes with their own unique challenges. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of this one. Now this wasn't shown very clearly in the video, but as you can see there's these happy villager particles where if you get in the way then you will take damage. So we'll see this happen. There we go. And there are also wither skeletons which come and attack you as well. So in theory, it's actually pretty simple to do this fight without taking any damage if you just know what you're doing. So let's cross carefully so we can go now. And here we have a wither skeleton. Okay, so that's the other attack as well. So you can hear 3 distinct dunk, dunk,
dunks, and if you jump at the right moment, then you won't be affected by it. So you can see all the particles around that do the spell. Now I thought this was pretty obvious, but apparently that's not so. So 2 and 3, there we go. So you can actually avoid the damage pretty easily. Now the way you could also do this is by getting a water bucket here. So we can place down a water bucket, and now we can actually do this pretty easily because we won't take damage from levitating too hard, and we can also push away the wither skeletons. So notice how I could do that without taking any damage. It's a puzzle. You're supposed to read what's going on and then make a decision based on what's happening. Let's take a look at the other one. This next one is all about knowing where to pillow up and where to block. So we're going to have an arrow rain which is coming across, and this will be telegraphed here. Here we go. Except in this case I think it might... Yep, so the arrow rain will show you where you can and cannot pillar up. So if I were to pillar up here, then the arrow rain will get me. So I thought that was pretty clear, but I guess it's understandable why you wouldn't see that. Now we've got some husks and strays, which is where the whole meat of the fight actually begins. See, now I've picked a good place to pillar up. I can now protect myself against the husks and the strays, but I can't go too close to this pillar, otherwise I'll be knocked off. So as you can see, we've got strays fighting, but they will usually get distracted by the husks, so they're not too much of a threat. But so long as I don't let myself get hit by the strays, this should be a fairly easy fight to do. And I will not bridge across, because that's also a recipe for disaster as well. Don't want to get too close either. So let's move in, and I should almost be in reach of the pillar. So you can see, in essence, it's a puzzle. There we go. I'm in now, and it's just a matter of not getting hit by the strays now. So I can actually pillar up behind me, and then I should be pretty immune. Even if I do take damage, they shouldn't be able to knock me off. So again, I have done this without taking any damage. That is the goal. So just got to get in here now and make sure that the husks don't get in the way too much. I think it might be a good idea to give myself a lava bucket as well. That would help. Oh, I took my first bit of damage in the whole fight. There we go. So this is now pretty easy. I've essentially, quote unquote, solved this particular section. But I have to admit, this is pretty difficult and I don't expect anyone to do this. So what I need to do is I need to make it so if you get too close to the node, then you'll take damage. That way people can stop just going in and barricading themselves in, because I think that's just no fun and it's a little bit unfair. Also, maybe these have a bit too much health as well, but I just did that so people can actually solve the puzzle rather than just brute force it. But there we go. This one here is the easiest out of all of them. You can see the crit particles coming out. Those are the things that deal damage. It charges up an attack and a ring of ender particles will come out, and then eventually those will be sucked back in and I can go in and attack. So now I can move in. Forgot about that. It's not that simple, is it? So all I have to do really is just keep those strays at bay somehow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out where they spawn in, and then I'm just going to block them in. So again, it is possible to do this without taking any damage, but I'm just being a bit reckless and careless now. I've got pretty basic armor on, so it's really not a hard fight once you know what you're supposed to be doing, but yeah, it's just not a good fight because I'm not making it clear that there's actually a intended solution to all of this. So it looks like they're coming from up there, so let's try and pillar my way there. Ouch. Up, 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 block. No. Arrows are actually annoying. I should have put a spawn cap on this. That's another thing I should have done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from this side. Alright, so if I just get this spot, then this will hopefully neutralize them. No! Oh! Okay, so they're almost completely blocked in now. Yep, get out. No! Huh. Oh, dang it. So I said this was the easiest, but I completely forgot about the strays here, which make this quite an annoying fight. Alright. Yep, okay, blocked off. So now any strays that spawn will be stuck inside, so let's just pick off the remaining ones, and then the rest of the battle should be very, very easy. Just a matter of timing and practice. Alright, so all I have to do now is just get myself in here, and we're good now. Done. Now it's time for the Wither Skeleton node, and I'm not going to try and bother blocking them off because there's just way too many, but what I will do is I will come up here and I'll place some water down just to keep them at bay. Now since there's water in their way, they're going to have a hard time getting to me. This one's much easier because they don't have any ranged attacks, so that's good. Let's just move in and get rid of you. Simple as that, and then I can just move in. And that guy shouldn't be able to get me because of the water. Done, and now we are entering the more difficult part of the fight. This isn't an engaging fight, this is just try and keep your mouse on the glowstone as lots of Vexes try and hit you. So this is probably my least favourite part of the fight. So that's that done, and now this next part was the only bit that Tyler actually did properly in his fight. Now I should stress that this is not his fault that that I made a bad boss, which isn't good at telegraphing the attacks. So we're going to move in here and we're going to place water here, because there's going to be some creepers that get summoned at my location every time I do this. Just got to build a moat around me, and then the creepers behind me should get pushed off if I do this right. Alright, we're back here. Let's try this again. So block, and just time the attacks correctly. As soon as I can get out of here, the better. Okay, now I'm almost out. Let's just get out of here. There we go, back to the fight. There we go. So now we can go into the skull, and that's as simple as using a water bucket. You know what, I'm just going to fly up there. Just gotta place that down there, and then we can get rid of this. So now I've shown you how to fight it correctly, and I've shown you some of the downfalls. Let's ask ourselves, what went wrong? Well, I'm going to reduce this down to 8 problems. 1. Lightning is unpredictable and not telegraphed properly, and therefore unfair. 2. Vexes are unpredictable and therefore unfair. 3. Bats are unpredictable and therefore unfair. 4. You can brute force your way through the nodes since they heal you, and there's no consequences for blocking yourself in, except for the creeper and vex sections, because you can't protect yourself from those. And interestingly, it was the creeper section in which Tyler actually approached the section using a method rather than just brute force. 5. Nobody expects to solve a puzzle when fighting a Minecraft boss. It needs to be clear from the get-go what you are expected to do. This could be achieved by making the structures larger and using the environment to telegraph where the monsters will spawn. For example, we all know already that if you see a monster spawning, you need to destroy it. If we give a mob a dramatic entrance in the same place over and over, then maybe the player will get the hint to block them off. 6. Turning on keep inventory ruins the fight entirely. If there's no consequences for your actions, then you will play recklessly, and you will not think about how to approach each section, which is why in the Tempest's box I think there should be a penalty for keeping keep inventory on. That's not just losing your items, but maybe just getting some kind of curse, so maybe you think about your actions before dying. 7. There's no spawn cap on the mobs. This means if you take too long to solve an area, the fight will become too difficult. And 8. The nodes have way too much health. So those are the 8 problems with this fight, and I promise to apply these in future fights that I make in the Tempest's box. Which means it's time to revamp the Decree fight for version 0.8, because everything that's wrong with it is exactly what's wrong with Herobrine. Now, I actually haven't seen anyone playtest the Decree except for Tyler and myself, so who knows how people are fighting this. There's Vexes, and there's bats, and there's a boss with a lot of health, and it's not obvious that this is actually technically a puzzle. Everything that was wrong with the Herobrine fight is wrong here, so we need to revamp it sometime. I'm all bossed out now, so instead I'm going to talk about this. You see, version 0.8 is called the quality update, so why don't I have some actually decent mob drops? The first one that I'm showing you is called the Super Ender Pearl, or the Super Pearl, or whatever. Oh, I missed. That's a shame. So the Ender Menace has a small chance of dropping some of these. Basically, it's an Ender Pearl with no gravity, and it's really cool. This is not my idea, this is Carrotsy's idea. After 10 seconds, it will disappear in case it doesn't land anywhere, and you also get a bunch of resistance, so if you do fall, then you'll be saved. And if you hold it in your offhand, then it acts like a normal Ender Pearl. Let me know if you think of that. The Nether Knight helmet is something that has a chance to drop from, well, the Nether Knight. So it can drop the staff as well, but never at the same time. So as you can see, it's got 4 uses left. So it does have durability. Unfortunately, there's no durability bar because of limitations, but at least it's something cool that you can put on your head. Now, I wanted to make this bit transparent, but apparently that's not possible with custom skulls, but let me show you what it does. If I fall into lava with it on, then it will spit me out and give me a small amount of fire resistance. So if you're ever bridging in the Nether and you fall accidentally, then you actually have a chance to survive. And I think that's pretty cool. So we've got 3 uses left, and if we keep falling on it, then we have 2 uses, 1 use, and then 0 uses left. Okay, so of course, if you're using this, it doesn't make you completely invulnerable. Obviously, you have to get out at least on the 4th time, and then you've got some fire resistance afterwards that can help you. And obviously, if you survive it, you will get the final destination advancement. Advancements will be coming in 0.9, not 0.8, purely because of, well, I'll have to explain maybe next episode, because the reason is pretty complicated.
Let's face it, consumable items are kind of boring. I mean, they're exciting a couple of times, and maybe you'll need them for some special scenarios, but I think we need something that's a little bit more useful outside of the combat world. So I thought, what should Haven Witches drop? And then I thought, what should Ratches drop? I have decided that we should summon a Ratch, and you kill the Ratch, and you will get a special item, Ratch Putty. Now I know it looks like dye, but it's enchanted dye, and the reason why I did it this way is because I want to make it stackable, and I'm kind of running out of things that I can make stackable. Actually, ignore that thing. We'll come back to this another time. Okay, so let's summon a Haven Witcher now. And you will get Haven Cream. Now you notice that Ratches and Haven Witches are things that the player will have access to in the early game. These are now early game items. What we're going to do is make a custom crafting recipe in 1.13 where you can put Ratch Putty in the middle and Haven Cream around the outside, and when 1.13 comes out you will be able to make a special thing called Raven Fluid. Get it? So what Raven Fluid is this stuff that you can put on top of furnaces to accelerate them, and you can just break them as normal to get rid of them. So if I actually stand on here as well, then I will take damage. So it's a very good early game item. Now since you have to place it down manually and it's only got 64 uses, it's only good in the early game. And that's a deliberate choice. I don't want people using this late game, I just want them to get past their early game content a little bit faster in an interesting way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stack of iron ore in each of these so you can see how much faster it makes the furnaces. So this is just smelted 1 and this is already on 12 now. So remember it's got 64 uses, so it's just enough to smelt 1 stack really quickly in case you're feeling quite impatient. Alright, we're almost done, and when it's finished you'll see that this will disappear. There we go. So that's done. This is on 64 and this is on 6. So it's so much faster than what it normally is. I think it does 1 every second. So that took just over a minute to do, and this took just over a minute. It accelerates the furnaces a lot, and it incentivizes you to actually go kill those Ratches rather than just see them as pests. Same with the Haven Witches. The Deadlock Shield and the Katana from the Assassin have been modified just very slightly for the quality update. And, wait, what's that music? Yeah, I know, but please. No, I want to end this episode. No, leave this to me.
Unfortunately, I cannot find a source which confirms this from an actual dev, so I'm just taking other people's word for it. Now, I understand that some of you may be disappointed that a model tag probably won't happen, but it's important to realize that sometimes there are parts of a game which are more important than features. These may include stability, security, less bugs, consistency, lighter workloads, reliable maintenance, or simplicity. Sometimes you need to expend a potential feature for the good of a game. And sometimes, to implement a feature, you must break everything. That's what Mojang are doing for 1.13. They can't add new blocks unless they destroy every command creation in the history of the world. They just can't, at least not without doing some kind of hack. That's also what I'm doing for the Tempests box. In order to give machines more functionality and to fix many of the bugs that machines come with, and to ensure that I can add more machines in the future, I have to break everything that was made in older versions. That's why the current version of TTB is 0.7, not 1.7, 0. The 0 implies that you're playing with an unfinished product, and so unfinished products have unfinished features which need finishing, and to finish those features I must break them, repair them, or replace them. But then again, if everything was so easy, then these Tempests videos wouldn't be nearly as fun to make. Finding ways to solve problems and telling you about the solutions is far more fun than just simply having the solution right there in front of me. Plus, it's doing a good job of forcing me to maintain elegance in my designs, which is a topic for another episode. Oh, and so the magma fluid area, mine thing, that I've just made serves three purposes. The first one is to show you how the Haven Witcher cream can work in a building scenario. I guess it's not that useful if I have to create an oddly specific theme here. The other reason that I built this is just to practice with my building skills, because as you know I'm not a very good builder, so I need to work on that. And thirdly, this might be a cool structure in the Nether. Who knows? But anyways guys, thank you all very very much for watching, and don't forget to like the video, give me all your money, put posters of me everywhere, get this video to 3 billion views, give me 5 million subscribers, play all my music to your friends, punch the subscribe button so hard your hand goes through your monitor, then buy a new monitor so you can watch me 30 times a day, salute me before you greet me, get me to the front page of Reddit, watch this video again. Were you even paying attention to the last 10 minutes? If not, go back, watch it again, maybe a few more times. Post the link to this video on Facebook and tag all your friends, tip my bodyguard, go to www.com and subscribe to the Dragon newsletter where I spam your inbox with things you don't care about, like my Minecraft parody songs, laugh at all my jokes, vote for me in the 2020 American presidential election, vote for me in the 2019 Australian election, watch my YouTube Red show, contribute to my Wikipedia page, go to audible.com for more amazing Minecraft fidget spinner audiobooks for free, written by Jake Paul and edited by PewDiePie. Use code DRAGON at Dollar Shave Club for $1 a day disposable razor delivered to your door, as well as monthly Dragon merchandise including the Think Ragoon emoji pillow, a Hyperhorse fidget spinner, and a Tempest box beanie baby. And if you use code TEMPEST, then you'll get a set of Tempest box knives for my pyramid scheme where you can run and own your own business and go door to door selling Dragon fidget spinners and Tempest knives. I'll see you next episode.